All right, guys, welcome back to Educating Houston. I got a good friend here, Hussain. He's a loan officer with Amcap. How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on board, Travis.
Thanks for coming on to my channel.
Yes, sir.
You guys, I brought him on here because he's a licensed loan officer in Houston, Texas. And obviously, I believe in empowerment and in education. I'm just one man. I have one opinion. I brought him on for him to share his own opinion on whether or not do we expect a housing market crash in 2022 or not? What factors, things like that. He's a great person to talk about this with. So I'm just going to jump off right now. Sir,
thank you.
Is there going to be a crash in 2022?
So I don't personally believe that there will be a crash.
Okay.
We will have a stagnant growth.
Yeah.
And Redfin predicts that stagnant growth to be at 3% in 2022. So let's backtrack. We had COVID upon us.
Yeah.
We saw crazy growth.
Mm-hmm.
We saw broken supply chain.
Mm-hmm.
We saw increase in demand.
Yep.
And we saw supply not being there because of it.
Yes.
All right. So what this means for our fellow Houstonians and Texans is that we need to be watching the market. We need to be educating
100%.
ourselves.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so first, let's go into the interest rates.
Okay.
Redfin is predicting right now that the interest rates are going to be landing at 3.6% in the middle of 2022. So let's just cover that real quick. Right now, we're sitting at an average of about 3.11 to 3.25.
Okay. Half a point increase then.
Correct. So as far as affordability goes, we now have less affordability if the prices keep on increasing.
And rates.
Correct.
Right. Yeah.
So we can't have that,
No,
right? We
no.
cannot have that. So therefore is the stagnant growth of the 3%. Now,
Right,
that
right.
doesn't mean that you don't buy. That means that you educate yourselves, get yourself in the right markets, get yourself in the right area, and most importantly, do not settle. Get yourself in that home that's going to deliver the best value. And that's what we are here for. Contact us, consult with us. That's what we do best, Travis. And I want our audience to understand that they don't have to be scared about this news.
Yeah.
They just have to plan accordingly.
Yeah. So basically what he's saying, guys, he's based on Redfin, a 3.6 increase is obviously, it's going to make it more expensive to buy houses, right? Sure. Now, what he's also saying is, right now we don't know a lot, but contact him. You're saying contact him. Don't be afraid. There's professionals that are transparent with good information, that is accurate information. Don't be afraid. Just reach out to someone and ask, does it cost money to email you a question?
Not at all.
There it is.
Not at all. So the second thing we're going to talk about that Redfin has disclosed to us on record is that now we're going to see reverse migration.
Okay.
So what that means is that we've seen crazy hot cities in the Sun Belt like Austin because of the Silicon Valley effect. But Redfin predicts, because of the stagnant growth, that investors specifically, maybe not first-time home buyers, but investors specifically, they're going to now be looking into the northern cities like Columbus, Ohio, right? Which makes sense because, as Redfin states, 2019, Austin home prices were $120,000 more than Ohio. In 2020, it was $250,000 more than Columbus, Ohio. So all they're saying here, if you really understand between the lines, is that it's the stagnant growth. So your first-time home buyers can have their opportunities, and also investors are going to be switching their strategies, not per se the strategies, but the areas that they're now investing their dollars in.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is there's reverse migration.
Right.
All of the cities that were doing so well last year,
Right.
Austin, cities like that, they're not going to be doing good in 2022 because they're overpriced.
That's
and
correct.
There's not the same opportunities that there was for investors, making there potentially more opportunities for first-time home buyers because we're not going to have crazy growth. Is that right?
Exactly. So, guys, please educate yourself. That's all we're about, is educating yourselves and just to be making a smarter choice when it comes to residential mortgages, whether you're a first-time home buyer or investors. Investors, please reach out to me and Travis. We have some strategies that work. We'll guide you in the areas where you'll maximize your profits.
Yeah.
Is that right, Travis?
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah. I mean, you guys, I mean, I don't try to push my channel here to get people, to get leads and things like that, but I definitely want to help people. That's where I'm at in my career. I've been doing this 19 years. But, let me ask you this question, a little bit off topic, having to do with the 2020, potential housing market crash. What is your take on, in 2021, so this year, what is your take on iBuyers? And this is why I say that. I've been hearing, and I'm going to do a video on this when I have more data. I've been hearing a lot of information where big government or big tech or big companies, they're buying up all the houses, right?
Sure.
Inflating and manipulating,
Sure.
The market, which is a big deal. We don't want that to happen, but go into that. Now, I know you said with the 3% stagnant growth, not as many opportunities for investors, but do you think in 2021, this year, do you think that's a real problem? No, because I know Zillow.
So Zillow had a big failure, right?
Yes.
So guys, again, we can only predict. We can be wrong. And Zillow was wrong.
Yeah.
Zillow lost. And so Zillow and other iBuyer companies like Open Door, they are re-strategizing.
Yes.
And they're not now trying to capture the whole market, but they're trying to work on their niche.
Yeah.
But my personal opinion is our audience, the buyers, the investors, they want personal communication. That's what we're here for. You don't get that from your iBuyer market. Mm-hmm. They are perfecting their niche, and Redfin predicts that the iBuy market is going to be also stagnant, but re-strategizing to capture that niche that they are good in.
So they'll slow down, but then yes, you do believe that in 2021 that there was a lot of investors and a lot of companies that were buying up houses.
Yes.
That's crazy. So let me ask you this. So 2021, he's growing. A lot of people I'm going to do a separate video on this. A lot of investors picked up houses, whether for renting, for whatever reason. Now let's put this scenario together. What if in 2022 these same companies, they can't sell these houses, right? I don't know how many houses they have, but say they can't sell these houses and say they have to unload these houses now for pennies on the dollar. What effect do you think that will have on the market?
So if that were to happen,
yes, if
we would definitely, I feel like the effect is already happening. And thus the stagnant growth of the 3% that Redfin is mentioning to us. Yeah. So it all makes sense. It all completely makes sense. And that's what maybe we would have a 0% growth, which in my personal opinion, I feel like 3% is a good number by Redfin given. Yeah. And this explains the whole array of things happening with the iBuyer market, with the losses that Zillow took, with the unloading that they had to do. And therefore in 2022, definitely we still have a growth, but we don't have as much of a growth as we've been having for the last 18 months. Yeah. Would you concur?
Yeah. So, but here's what I'm really curious about. So, I believe there's only a couple of things that could possibly happen to these people scooping up homes, right? Either they're going to go bankrupt, right? Or they're going to unload the homes for pennies on the dollar. And what I'm curious is either that's going to help home buyers, right? Or that will hurt us all because a whole bunch of companies are going to start going bankrupt and going under. And that's never good for the economy. But in order for something like that to happen, there would have to be a lot of companies doing that. And that's what I'm really curious about. And I want to do more research on. You know what I'm saying?
So from personal data that I've derived together, and again, this is my opinion, I feel as if this was going to happen, which it did. Zillow lost. Again, I keep on talking about this because the effects of the stagnant growth is due to all of that adding up. But COVID is still upon us, right? So we still have a world of broken supply chain. Yeah. We still have demand that is crazy high. Yeah. And we don't have supply to provide, which is good for first-time home buyers because now they can get in at the sweet time. Mm-hmm. It's good for investors, and we can help you re-strategize in the areas where you can maximize your profits in. And I feel like all of this put together and understanding it well will allow our audience, our buyers, to make that much of a better decision.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think that because of COVID, because of all this money that was injected, even if I don't think those companies are going to go bankrupt. I don't necessarily think that. I think the worst thing will happen is they may lower their sales prices. But like what you're saying, the demand is still high. If we didn't have pent up buyers, if we didn't have COVID, if we didn't have such strong demand and so many buyers that weren't able to get the home they wanted, I would be worried. I would be worried about a crash in 2022. But I agree with you. I think it's just going to wind down. I think 2022 is going to be a wind down year, quite frankly. And I don't think that these companies are going to go out of business. I think that Zillow bit off more than they could chew, quite frankly, at the wrong time in the market when it was at inflation.
And I want our audience to really understand that the prediction of inflation now is at about 6.5%.
Yeah.
So, in my personal opinion, even though Redfin predicts it to be a stagnant growth of 3%, I'm still predicting a growth of about 7%. Okay, which is going to be great for us.
Because the supply and demand.
First-time home buyers will still continue to build their wealth through equity.
Yeah.
Investors are happy because no matter where they invest, they're growing. However, contact us because we can guide you in the areas, again, to maximize your profits as investors, and also guide first-time home buyers with all the great programs that we have available so you can make your dream ownership of a home come true.
So essentially, what he's saying, you're essentially saying that instead of like Redfin is projecting a 3% home equity growth next year, you're saying Redfin's got it wrong. It's going to be double the growth because of the supply and demand issue.
Correct.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Honestly, I'm going to lean more towards with him than because I'm not saying Redfin is wrong. I'm not saying you're right. But a 3% equity growth, that is very, very low. I think the last time we've had that type of equity growth was in 2009.
That's correct.
So, again, if it wasn't for COVID and built up buyers, I think it crashed. But because of exactly what you're saying, COVID, pent up buyers, I think there's going to be higher than 3%.
Exactly.
Maybe 4 or 5%. I think there's going to be a slowdown.
Right.
Because investors aren't going to be jumped
Sure.
in so much because of Zillow, but I don't think 3%.
Right.
I don't think
definitely
3%.
It's higher than 3%. So guys, once again, we're all about empowerment and to educate you guys. Please, I cannot stress this enough. Reach out to Travis. Reach out to me. Let us guide you your way to success.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys, that's going to conclude the video today. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much,
channel,
Travis, for having me on board.
Again, guys, like you said, reach out to us if you need anything. Stay tuned for weekly videos here. You guys, we just want to empower you. And don't forget this. I'm in this with you. Now, remember this. I decided to rent, okay? I have a family of 5. I've uprooted my children and my wife because I'm planning on a slowdown or more opportunity to happen in 2022. So I'm going along with this with you. I want to be another home buyer in 2022. So hopefully I'll be a home buyer in 2022. Anyways, you guys go along this journey with me. We'll see you next week, and thank you for stopping by.
Thank you all.